The world watches in disbelief. A president who does what he promised, who is capable of honoring, executing his ideas in a way they produce meaningful and the expected result. A capable American administration, one that doesn't send helicopters in the desert of Iran, causing the death of dozens of Americans, one that is composed of obviously, visibly intelligent and qualified people who work well together. I can think of the previous chief of staff who said, I wish I had these people in my administration. So it is something to celebrate, dear friends. It is something to notice and to comment on. Let's think about the last 6 months since Trump started being president, although one could argue that he started being president yet in November 2024, when we called the Mexican president and literally requested, I'm not going to use the word order, her to stop illegal caravans, and she obliged 2 months before being a president. So the latest development in the Middle East, which this guy eventually will turn from the area of constant conflicts into something peaceful, where Jews and Arabs, Muslims are doing business and more are joining the club, and then Shia Muslims and Sunni Muslims will stop being afraid of each other and hostile and will join the club of just business, money, normalcy. So after administrating the end of the neo-Marxist lunacy that had taken over the West, and something that by itself is already a historical achievement that Europe still doesn't have a clue of. They still live in in a different dimension where you celebrate 0.6 GDP growth when the United States has almost 4 predicted for this year. But, well, who cares about Europe? Honestly, I'm extremely glad to live in the same time with Donald Trump. Back to 2025, June, and the end of the war, 12-day war between Israel and Iran. He helped Israel take care of Hamas. He helped Israel take care of Hezbollah. He decimated the Houthi. He now forced Iran to accept peace, and probably with that comes a deal where Iran will not develop nuclear weapons. We're not sure about that. Donald Trump just said there will be peace. What kind of peace? We're about to learn. But I don't believe he will be celebrating if that was back to business as usual in the Middle East. It sounds like his idea of peaceful Middle East, prosperous Middle East, is becoming cheap energy. Iran needs to be on the international market and contribute to low energy prices. This will benefit China, by the way. This will hurt Russia. The network of diplomatic mastery that he achieved in the area, the visit to the Gulf kingdoms, the deal he obviously had made with the Saudis, with the Qataris, and with the United Emirates, makes me think he is not just impulsive. There was a plan, and the plan was good. It worked, apparently. So, where from now? And here I can see only one path, next step, and that is to focus on Russia. Donald Trump, I defended him when he was busy, when he didn't support Ukraine, because I was telling everyone he needs the weapons and the munitions for the Houthis, for an eventual war with China about Taiwan, for Iran. And he managed to solve these potential conflicts without spending too much munitions. I'm sure we provided a lot to Israel, but now maybe we can redirect the supplies where they are needed. And there is one place that badly needs American help because the Europeans suck. Being a European myself, with a European citizenship, I cannot deny it. They don't have backbone. They elect a woman for head of the European Commission whose priority number one is to count how many men and how many women in the European Commission. That's her priority number one, officially stated. Of course, you will not have industry. Of course, the energy will be expensive and the industry will be dying. So, despite I am 100% with Donald Trump on the topic of forcing Europeans to spend more on defense, and I think one of the wonders he did, actually, remember only 4 months ago, he mentioned that maybe 2%, which was not yet reached by many of the NATO members, he said maybe it should be 5. And then it became a reality. Now we hear from the NATO meeting that everyone agreed 5 is the new 2% of the GDP. Imagine the humongous amount of money that NATO members will be spending on defense. This is good for democracy. This is good for Europe because it will be less vulnerable. And, well, it will be very good for America because some part of this money will come here to buy American weapons. This is what I cannot say will happen. I hope it will happen. America will now turn and all its attention to the, in terms of international affairs, of course, our major focus is our economy, American bridges and the nuclear plants and the roads and the railways that we need to build and the airports that we need to rebuild. America looks bad, people. Let me tell you as a European, America looks poor, miserable, because we were paying everyone's defense. And now Trump is ending it, and all that money, or at least big part of it, will start pouring towards these infrastructural major needs of the American nation. It's going to be beautiful. The huge data centers, so many aspects, and the AI, good job with Iran, good job with the Houthis, good job with China, good job with Hamas. We may find out the Gaza resort may become true. But the hottest point on earth right now is Ukraine, where people are dying. And apparently Vladimir Putin doesn't want, he cannot accept peace. This guy is damaged. The whole Russian nation is damaged, just like the Germans were damaged when Hitler was in power and they elected him and they were supporting him and they were dying for him Russia will not settle peacefully. Most probably, we need to send Ukraine the powerful weapons they need to push back Russia. Thank you for listening.